The search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 has finally resumed after years of inactivity. Ocean Infinity, a marine robotics company, began a new search operation in February 2025 under a unique no-find, no-fee agreement with Malaysian authorities. This means they'll only receive the $70 million payment if they successfully locate the aircraft that disappeared in 2014. The company seems confident in their chances, committing significant resources to this 18-month search contract. This renewed effort brings hope to the families of the 239 people who were on board, as they've waited over a decade for answers about what happened to their loved ones after the flight mysteriously vanished while traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Before we dive into video, please subscribe to our channel. Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 departed from Kuala Lumpur heading to Beijing on March 7, 2014, carrying 239 people on board. The aircraft initially climbed normally toward its cruising altitude as it headed north through Malaysia toward Vietnam. What happened next remains partly uncertain, but significant evidence suggests the disappearance wasn't accidental, but rather the result of deliberate actions by someone on board. As the aircraft passed a navigation point called I-Garai, its transponder was manually switched off, not simply failing, as proven by a 37-second period where it stopped transmitting altitude data while still partially functioning. This specific behavior could only happen if someone physically rotated the transponder knob to the altitude off position before completely turning it to standby. Shortly afterward, the aircraft made an unusually sharp left turn, which Boeing simulations confirmed would have required manual control rather than autopilot intervention, and disappeared from radar completely. Multiple indicators suggest the MH370 disappearance involved deliberate actions rather than an accident. First, the transponder wasn't simply lost, it was manually deactivated. For about 37 seconds, it stopped transmitting altitude data while still partially functioning, something only possible if someone physically rotated the transponder knob to the specific altitude off position before fully turning it off. Second, the aircraft made an unusually sharp left turn that Boeing simulations confirmed required manual control, as the autopilot wouldn't permit such extreme bank angles. Third, this turn occurred precisely between air traffic control handoff points, delaying detection of the deviation. Fourth, the aircraft deliberately avoided Thailand's air defense zone, suggesting intimate knowledge of regional airspace. Most significantly, the ACARS satellite communication system was disabled through a complex process requiring multiple deliberate steps, shutting down all 4 generators, preventing the APU from automatically starting, and manually interrupting the satellite connection, actions requiring detailed technical knowledge of the Boeing 777's electrical systems. After MH370's disappearance, investigators made a significant discovery. The aircraft's satellite communication system continued making contact with Inmarsat satellites for several hours. This system made 7 handshakes with satellites, which became critical data points for the search. Each handshake generated 2 types of information: burst timing offset and burst frequency offset. The BTO data worked somewhat like GPS with one satellite, creating an arc or circle where the plane must have been at that moment. The BFO data, using principles similar to the Doppler effect, like how an ambulance siren changes pitch as it passes, revealed whether the aircraft was climbing, descending, or maintaining level flight. By analyzing these 7 handshake points, investigators could plot possible flight paths and narrow down the search area, essentially creating a series of concentric arcs across the Indian Ocean where the aircraft must have traveled. The initial search for MH370 began immediately after its disappearance in March 2014 and continued for nearly 3 years until being officially suspended in January 2017. During this extended search operation, investigators found only 2 small pieces believed to be from the aircraft, which had washed ashore in South Africa and on Rodriguez Island in Mauritius. In the years that followed, approximately 30 additional items potentially from MH370 were discovered across Africa, Madagascar, and other regions on the Indian Ocean's western side. Ocean Infinity, the company that recently restarted the search, previously looked for the aircraft between January and June 2018. During that first attempt, they were initially contracted to cover 25,000 square kilometers, but ultimately searched over 112,000 square kilometers, approximately the size of Bulgaria, or slightly smaller than New York State, in just 3 months, nearly matching what the original search covered in 2.5 years, demonstrating their significantly more efficient search capabilities. Malaysia has signed a new 18-month, $70 million contract with Ocean Infinity to resume the search for MH370. The most remarkable aspect of this agreement is its no-find, no-fee basis. Ocean Infinity will only receive payment if they successfully locate the aircraft. This arrangement demonstrates the company's exceptional confidence in their search capabilities and technologies. For a company to commit significant resources, including ships and autonomous underwater vehicles in the remote Indian Ocean for up to 18 months with no guaranteed payment, suggests they believe they have compelling new data about the aircraft's location. The contract represents a major financial risk for Ocean Infinity, as maintaining and operating their sophisticated fleet of search vessels and equipment in the harsh conditions of the southern Indian Ocean will require substantial investment regardless of the outcome. Ocean Infinity utilizes cutting-edge marine robotics technology that significantly improves search capabilities compared to previous efforts. Their approach centers on simultaneously deploying multiple autonomous underwater vehicles to scan the ocean floor, allowing them to cover vast areas quickly with high-resolution seabed mapping. This fleet-based approach proved remarkably effective during their 2018 search attempt when they covered 112,000 square kilometers in just 3 months, nearly matching what the original search had accomplished in 2.5 years. Since that first attempt, Ocean Infinity has further expanded and improved their technology and resources. Their vessels and equipment are specifically designed for collecting detailed seabed data, a capability normally used by research institutions, energy companies installing offshore infrastructure, and communications companies laying underwater cables. This advanced technology was previously demonstrated during their successful 2019 search for the sunken South Korean tanker Stellar Daisy. 2 key studies have significantly influenced the renewed search for MH370 by refining the most likely locations where the aircraft might be found. The first is an extremely detailed systems analysis conducted by Captain Patrick Blay and Sean Luke, who meticulously examined Boeing and Malaysian Airlines procedures and systems to extract the maximum information from existing clues. The second study is by Richard Godfrey, an avionics systems engineer who utilized the weak signal propagation reporter protocol. This innovative approach analyzes data from amateur radio transmissions that were potentially affected when MH370 passed through their signal paths. While WSPR was not originally designed for aircraft tracking and has its skeptics, Godfrey has validated his methodology by successfully tracking other aircraft with known flight paths. These complementary analytical approaches have helped define the search areas that Ocean Infinity is now exploring. Richard Godfrey, an avionics systems engineer, developed a controversial method to track MH370 using the weak signal propagation reporter protocol. While WSPR wasn't designed for aircraft tracking, it was created by an astrophysicist for amateur radio enthusiasts to test signal propagation. Godfrey discovered these radio signals can be affected when aircraft pass through their paths, leaving detectable anomalies in the signal data. Unlike conventional theories suggesting MH370 flew straight south, Godfrey's WSPR analysis indicates the aircraft made deliberate turns to avoid busy airways, further suggesting intentional evasion. Most notably, his data shows the aircraft performed a figure 8 pattern near its final location, a pattern that eerily corresponds with simulation data found on Captain Zahari Shah's home computer. This figure 8 maneuver might indicate someone searching for ships or other surface traffic before the final descent. The new search operation is focusing on 3 distinct areas in the southern Indian Ocean. 2 of these areas are rectangular zones situated on either side of the previously searched 7th Arc region, which was derived from the satellite handshake data. The southern rectangular search area largely overlaps with a triangular zone proposed by Captain Patrick Blay and Sean Luke in their detailed systems analysis. The third area is a northern zone with a jagged outline that corresponds precisely with Richard Godfrey's WSPR data analysis findings. Ocean Infinity's vessels can be tracked in real time as they work through these areas, with their ship Armada 7806 currently operating in the Indian Ocean. These search zones represent a comprehensive approach that incorporates both traditional flight path analysis and newer methodologies, combining established satellite data interpretations with innovative tracking techniques. The The search areas were carefully selected based on the most promising new evidence collected since the previous search concluded. The renewed search for MH370 teaches us that persistence and technological advancement can breathe new life into seemingly unsolvable mysteries. While previous search efforts covered vast areas without success, Ocean Infinity's willingness to undertake this mission on a no-find, no-fee basis shows remarkable confidence in new data analysis techniques. The combination of traditional satellite information with innovative approaches like WSPR tracking represents how multiple analytical methods can strengthen each other. For the families who have waited over a decade for answers, this search offers renewed hope. The MH370 case reminds us that with continued dedication, even the most complex mysteries might eventually be solved through a combination of technological innovation and analytical persistence.